This is Joy of Heaven, Saint of the Day for August 3rd. As we celebrate the feast of St. Lydia Purpuraria's Day. St. Lydia Purpuraria was born at Thyatira, a town in Asia Minor, famous for its dye works, hence, her name, which means purple seller. She became Paul's first convert at Philippi. She was baptized with her household, and Paul stayed at her home there. Her feast date is August 3rd. As described in the Acts, Lydia was a seller of purple, a person who traded in purple dyes and fabrics for which the city of Thyatira was noted. Purple goods were part of a high-value industry and were used by emperors, high government officials, and priests of the pagan religions. Tradition relates that she and her husband may have been involved in this business. At some point Lydia and her household moved from Asia Minor to the city of Philippi in Macedonia. The reasons she moved may have been business-related, as Philippi was a Roman colony on the major east-west trade route, the Egnation Highway, between Rome and Asia. Also, she may have been a Jewish convert who no longer could worship in the custom of the Thyatirans. The words of the Acts quoted below describe Lydia's meeting with the Apostle Paul on his second missionary journey about the year 50. Paul and his companions started their journey visiting the established churches in Western Asia Minor when he answered a vision in which he saw a man dressed in a Macedonian manner calling upon him to come over to Macedonia and help us. Paul's custom was to find local synagogues in which he would preach. But, apparently the Jewish population in Philippi was not sufficient to allow holding Sabbath services for the Jewish men. Thus, Paul's party walked out of the city following the Gangites River, now called the Angister River, when they came upon a group of women praying in the manner of Jews, along flowing water. After greeting the women, Paul and his companions sat down and shared the good news of Christ's salvation with them. Lydia, among the women, had listened attentively and took the message to heart. She and her family were then baptized in the Gangites River along which they had been praying. Thus, Lydia became the first person in Europe to become a follower of Christ. As Acts notes, Paul and his companions were well received by Lydia as they stay at her house after their release from the Philippi prison. Surely, during their imprisonment, Lydia and those who assembled in her home spent the night in prayer for the release of Paul and Silas, making her home the first Christian church in Europe. When Paul departed from Philippi, he left Luke behind to preach the gospel and to establish firmly the church in Philippi, using as its core Lydia, the jailer, and their households. Paul speaks fondly, in his letter to the Philippians, of the brethren who were members of the Church of Philippi, calling them my beloved and longed for brethren, my joy and crown. Thank you.